Today, will Max Holloway make the Korean Zombie a zombie? And why are we still paying for co-main event shows with Anthony Smith? And will Bruce Leroy finally achieve greatness? Find out today on Matter of Fact MMA. What's up? So we back here with another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. Today we're going to be breaking down the UFC's latest card going down this Saturday night. I believe it's in the Apex. If it's not, I will put it in the corner for you. We're going to be going over a couple of fights off of that show. So let's start out first with the main event. Max Holloway, the former featherweight champion of the world, steps in there with the Korean Zombie, Chan Sung Jung. I just wanted to try to make sure I could nail his name, but I probably didn't. But the Korean Zombie, we all know him, we all love him. Let's get into it. Man, I can't really say a whole lot about this main event because really it's kind of sad, you know what I'm saying? It's a main event that doesn't give you all the feels in the good way. It kind of makes you kind of sad. You know, there was a point in time with the Korean Zombie that if you were going to lock him in the cage with Max Holloway, that would have been an extremely good fight. That is appointment viewing television. You would have had to have seen that, is what I'm saying. But now, man, the Korean Zombie, you know, he's on a losing streak at the moment. He hasn't looked the best in like his last 3 or 4 fights, so to speak. And it's just like, I don't see much of a decline, if any at all, in Max Holloway. I mean, he's lost to Alexander Volkanovski, who might be the greatest featherweight ever besides Jose Aldo. Don't try it. But I'm just saying, it's like, so it's kind of hard to gauge where Max is at this point. But I mean, you really got to think about it, and you're like, bro, I don't see that much of a drop off. So when you lock him in there with the Korean Zombie, it's just like, I think it's going to end bad for Korean Zombie. Honestly, I mean, it's a main event. It's one of those main events where you already kind of know how it's going to play out. Now, it is mixed martial arts, so anything could happen. Korean Zombie could go in there and, do some Korean Zombie things. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but one thing about the appeal of the Korean Zombie originally, what made him such a standout fighter was his chin. That's why he was called the Korean Zombie. He was never the best as far as defense, but he always had that chin that you couldn't really put him out. And now that we know his chin is kind of left him for real, it's just like, and I mean, even though he hangs in there, like he hung in there with Volk, but it was to dangerous levels. So, and that referees are also thinking about this. So, some good solid shots on the Korean Zombie, the referee's going to stop the fight. So it's kind of a weird main event. It doesn't really do anything for Max Holloway if he wins it, other than he can say he beat the Korean Zombie, but it doesn't really do a lot for him. Now, if Korean Zombie could somehow win, hey man, we going to the bar early if you in Korean Zombie's camp, because I just beat Max Holloway. Sign me up for a rematch with Volk. Even though I know I'm going to get beat, put me back in there, coach. I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? Of course, if Korean Zombie wins, he might keep on fighting for another year, which I don't know if I'd want to see, and I'm a fan of his, but it's like, bro, he took a lot of damage in that last fight, bro. So that's your main event. I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. I mean, what do you want me to say? You know what I'm saying? What do you want from me? I'm only one man. I'm only a mere man. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, dude, there's not a whole lot you can really say. I think Max Holloway goes out here and does work. I hope it doesn't go to a decision, because that's 5 rounds of a man getting the soul beat out of him. But, I hope to see Max Holloway go ahead and finish it early. Just finish it in the first or the second. Get Korean Zombie out of there. Try to submit him. You don't have to knock him out or finish him by TKO. Just try to submit him. You know what I'm saying? I know that's not Max's game, but try it this time. This is the time. This is it. If there was ever a time for Max Holloway to submit somebody, it is right now. Because I'm not sure if the Korean Zombie can take one more blow to the head. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, but that's all I really got to say about this main event. Of course, I got Max Holloway in it. The co-main event, as I spoke about on my open, what are we doing here with? What are we doing with Anthony Smith? I mean, bro, here's just the deal, bro. It was a point in time where light heavyweight was a desolate wasteland, and at the top was John Jones. And when he wasn't at the top, it was Daniel Cormier. Right? Right. Okay. Dude, with this whole Anthony Smith thing, it's like, bro, just, there was a point in time where Anthony Smith went on a fairly impressive winning streak, and he got a shot at John Jones. And one of the main things he's famous for is John Jones gave him an illegal knee, and Anthony Smith chose not to, basically win the fight and win the championship by that, a la Aljamain Sterling. Shout out to Sugar Sean O'Malley. But nevertheless, it's like, dude, Anthony Smith was never really that guy. He was only that guy because of the time period. There wasn't a lot going on in light heavyweight, so somebody had to be that guy to go face John Jones, and he ended up being that guy. And I know he won a few fights after that, but at the same time, it was like, it kind of is what it is. There was a point in time where I give him his props. He was kind of that guy, but he was one of those, if you've been watching the sport long enough, he was that guy at the moment, but he wasn't going to continue to remain that guy. He didn't really have the skills, to me, in my opinion, to remain that guy. So you're throwing him in here with Ryan Spann, and I mean, Ryan Spann can at times be completely unreliable, and then at times go out there and shock you with amazing natural abilities, which kind of leads me to believe, I know that he trains hard, although he famously said he didn't train for most of the early part of his MMA career, or train correctly, I should say. But I just feel like he's so problematic in the sense you can't count on him to go in there and show all of his skills. If he had a good training camp, if his personal life is right, if he doesn't have too many injuries, he gives you a good show, and he's got a lot of potential. But if any of those things are out of whack, out of line, homie's not batting 1,000. It just is what it is. With all of that said, he's going to go in there and do work to Anthony Smith. I don't see Anthony Smith having anything left in the tank. Frankly, it is... Why y'all still putting this man out there? I mean, I know he wants the check, so go out there and get your check, bro. And if he wins the fight, I eat all the words that I'm saying about him. Because, I mean, Ryan Spann could easily go out there and, come in stubbing his toe or something, have some sort of issue, and end up taking an L because he's not consistent or reliable when it comes to winning fights. But Anthony Smith, to me, just doesn't have anything left in the tank. I didn't like him against Johnny Walker. I haven't liked him in his last few fights. I mean, he just hasn't looked good. Simple as that. When he fought Ankalaev, that was terrible. I think that's who he fought. I might have that wrong. If I had that wrong, I'll put that in the bottom corner. But it just wasn't it. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. Of course, I got Ryan Spann to win. But I'm like, for real, UFC, I mean, y'all pretty much, the orange has been squeezed dry. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't get, he's got nothing left in these fights. In name value, Anthony Smith has nothing left. I can't believe they threw him in a co-main event spot. Maybe another co-main event or another fight fell out. If so, that's cool. That's good. But, Anthony Smith, y'all keep trotting him out there. That's just terrible. Moving on. Giga Chikadze versus Alex Caceres, Bruce Leroy, I should say. I got to go along with Bruce Leroy. I think Bruce Leroy is one of those fighters where, the opposite of Ryan Spann, I feel he's been fairly consistent over his entire career. Like, over his entire career, I feel like he's been a pretty consistent fighter. But I think he's taken key losses that could have, had he won those fights, it would have elevated him to the next level up. But, I think he's been pretty consistent. And when I look at Giga Chikadze, easy enough for you to say, not for me. I mean, I kind of feel like he's not going to quite be there. I feel like this guy had a lot of extreme confidence going into his last few fights, but Once he took that L, I don't know, something seemed to change about him. You know what I mean? I believe he took that loss to Calvin Cater, and after that loss, he just to me doesn't seem like the same at all. In the sense, like when you see him in interviews, he just doesn't have that same type of intensity and confidence that he had before that loss. And granted, he went in there and he took a beating. He took a beating against Calvin Cater, and he hung in there. But it just didn't really seem to me, since then, he just doesn't seem like the same guy. And I'm not saying his skills have diminished or anything, but mentally, when I see him in these interviews and he's talking about his future and talking about his upcoming fight and everything, he just doesn't seem to have that confidence. You know what I'm saying? He's not, he. I don't know. He just doesn't seem to quite be there. I got to go along with Bruce Leroy in this. I think he's going to get him out of there. If not, I think he could easily take a 3-round decision win. But I think there is a world where he might be able to submit Jigga. Is it Jigga? I'm going to call him Jigga. Like Jay-Z, Jigga. That's what I'm going to call him. But I kind of feel like he could submit Jigga if he really needed to. I don't know if he will, but we will see how that all plays out. But I just don't see the same intensity or confidence in the fighter anymore after taking that loss to Calvin Cater. So I got to go along with Bruce Leroy. Let's move on. The only other real fight I really wanted to touch on, on this card, because I mean it's got some pretty good fights, but there wasn't a lot to touch on. Aaron Blanchfield stepping in there against Talia Santos. I got to go along with Aaron Blanchfield. That's going to be an interesting fight to see, because on one end, Santos, I mean, she took Valentina Shevchenko to the limit. I mean, she took her to the limit. A lot of people believe she should have won by the scorecards. And had she not gotten that eye injury in that fight, she looked like she was on her way to beating Valentina. And I'm saying that as a Valentina fan, but it wasn't looking good for your girl in that fight. I mean, it just wasn't. So, but meanwhile, I really feel like she didn't capitalize on any momentum from that, and she's been out ever since. This is like her first fight back after taking that loss to Valentina. And since then, Valentina done went out there, fought a few times, lost the belt. Now she's getting a rematch. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't feel like she capitalized on anything that she gained in almost beating Valentina. And meanwhile, Aaron Blanchfield is at the top. I mean, she's at the top as far as she's riding high. She doesn't look like she's not showing too many vulnerabilities at all. It doesn't look like there's many people in the division, off the top of your head that are going to beat her. You might be able to name about 2 or 3 people, but, she's definitely looking like she's on her way for sure to a title shot. I'm for sure she wins this fight, she's getting a title shot after, but she is definitely on her way. And as long as circumstances permit correctly, like let's say if they end up doing something crazy happens in this rematch with, Valentina and Alexa Grasso, then maybe they'll do, a trilogy fight between them. But as long as it's a clear-cut winner, Aaron Blanchfield should be the next challenge for the championship, as long as she goes out there and does work against Santos. So that's just kind of where that's at. If Aaron Blanchfield goes out here, does her thing, beats Santos, then I see her as getting the next title shot, permitting that nothing crazy happens in the rematch between Valentina and Alexa Grasso. So we'll see how that turns out. Another thing, how about Paca Porta? How about Paca Porta stepping in there against Junior Tafa? I mean, I didn't want to make it sound like I was going for Paca Porta. I got to go along with Junior Tafa in that. But it's always, I get a special kind of enjoyment every time I see Paca Porta fight. It's just something about it, watching this man fight. It's just like, it's a roll of the dice. Because most of the time, if you're a betting person like me on DraftKings, holla at me, DraftKings. I need a sponsorship. Holla at me. Holla at me. You know what I'm saying? Holla at me. But if you're a betting man, you're always going to bet against Paca Porta, right? But every now and then, Paca Porta, he pulls a rabbit out the hat like his last fight, and he goes out there and defeats somebody, and you're like, oh, Pacaporte out here getting wins, y'all. So, I gotta go along with Junior Tafa, but it's always good to see old Pacaporte out there on the show. And yes, I enjoy saying Pacaporte. Let's keep it moving. How about we got Chitty on this show. Okay. Chitty Ntukwane stepping in the octagon. Well, I got him, especially against, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his first name. We call him Michael. I was sort of impressed with him earlier in his UFC career with Michael. We'll call him Michael O. How about old Michael O? Because I don't want to mispronounce his last name. Shout out to you, Michael O. I was extremely impressed by him early in his UFC career, but man, I don't know. I don't know about now. I've seen a couple of things where I don't know how. I think he might end up phasing out to kind of be like one of those guys that they use to prop up people like Ntukwane. You know what I'm saying? So I got to go along with Chitty in that fight. I think he's going to get him out of there probably by TKO stoppage. But I mean, Michael O pretty tough, so he might be able. And I hope his first name is Michael. Now I think about it. I hope it's not like Michelle or Mikhail or something like that. But nevertheless, he's definitely got a chin on him at times, so he might be able to go 3 rounds. But either way, I'm picking him to lose. So I got to go along with Chitty in that fight. Outside of that, I mean, there are some other good little matchups, but it's just kind of it's a filler card for the UFC that's got Max Holloway at the top, and he's gonna do work against the Zombie, and it's just what it is. So not much more there. It all goes down this Saturday night. I apologize, I couldn't really make that more entertaining for you, but they not giving your boy a lot to work with on this one. So we'll see how it all goes down this Saturday night. The UFC coming live to you, you know what I'm saying? I believe from Singapore. So this is probably going to end up being an earlier show. So we can all go ahead, watch it early on a Saturday, and then get up out the crib, going and get your Saturday going. Go out and do some things. Maybe some of y'all might be going to Trader Joe's. Some of my fans, I can tell y'all some Trader Joe's type people. Don't try to lie. I know y'all be in old Trader Joe's. So you know what I'm saying? We can see how it goes down. But nevertheless, I appreciate you all joining me for another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. And I'll check you next time. Peace.